Hey you! Has this ever happened to you?
I'm a little cold.
Then you need Pocket Couch! Pocket Couch! Whenever you need a quick blanket or pillow, Pocket Couch is there to save you from mild ill-temperedness. Miss, how do you feel after working with Pocket Couch?
I'm sleeping.
Pocket Couch! How's it going, everybody? We are now 6 parts into this ultimate shop cave couch, and I love everything about this thing. I got today's idea from one of my friends behind the scenes here, and she was saying that I should try to make a pocket on the back side of the couch for blanket and pillow storage. I love this idea so much, I just had to try it. I decided to make mine out of wood because I knew it would work, but if you're someone who is really good at sewing or working with vinyl, you could actually make this into an actual pocket, and I think that would be so cool too. But I'm a woodworker, so I'm gonna make mine out of oak. The first thing I needed to do was to get inside the couch to see how big of a box I could make. It ended up being about 8 inches deep and about a foot tall. There was so much room in the back of this couch I could have made this thing even bigger if I wanted to, but it really wasn't necessary. When I was at Menards choosing materials, I noticed that construction materials have gotten so overvalued over the last year that it was only about 10% more expensive to make this entire project out of oak, so I figured why not? I almost always go for cheaper materials to save money on my projects, but because of all of the shortages, construction materials cost about 240% of what they did about a year ago. But since hardwoods aren't as in high of demand, they haven't increased nearly as much. If I'm paying exorbitant prices anyway, I might as well use quality materials, right? I did a little bit of looking around, and it looks like the mills have finally started seeing a major improvement on their inventories, so hopefully us down the line will start seeing prices come down a little bit over the next few months. I can't imagine how some of you contractor types have been getting by with these prices. Pour one out for the homies. Once the box was built, it was time to mark a space for the box and then start cutting.
Will
you stop it? I cut a large X into the couch and removed the extra foam padding so the box would fit into place. This is also when Ellie decided to come out and help. There were some angled framing pieces holding up the top of the couch, and they were in the way, so they just had to come out.
Well, I hope that wasn't important.
Once they were out, I noticed the couch was still really sturdy, but I didn't want to just leave it, so I cut a 4x4 to fit into the top section of the couch to add a little bit of rigidity. This worked out surprisingly well. Because of the angle of the couch, I needed to add an angle so that the box would lean forward a few degrees, and everything would align properly. I used a nail gun to attach some shims to the 4x4, and then I could attach a board to the shims. This ended up being a perfect angle. I realized here that I added one of the boards to the box a little bit too early, and I had to remove it. This is also where I decided to change up the design a little bit, and I think it ended up looking so much better because of it. Since this plywood is going to be covered up anyway, I decided that all I really needed to do was to sand off all the glue marks. Once I got the box into place, I just decided to put some screws into it to hold it in place. It doesn't really matter what the top of the box looks like at this point because it's going to be covered up anyway. If you ever do a project like this where the install is going to be difficult, you should think about just planning on covering the inside sections of the box with another layer of material. This second layer will cover up any imperfections from the first layer. I hot glued some padding to the front edge of the box so everything would look a lot cleaner when I was done. This also helps reduce wrinkles in the vinyl. Then I just went around the perimeter of the box with some staples and cut off the excess material. This is honestly one of my favorite parts of this project. All I did is I took some of the remaining oak plywood and decided to frame out the inside of the box. This helps make the box so much more sturdy, and it also covers up any of the imperfections from the other steps. This is one of those things I learned from watching Adam Savage. Either you need a perfect install or you need to find a way to hide your crimes. When working with plywood, it's always a good idea to cover up the edge with something, so I decided to make a frame around the box with this 1/4-inch thick piece of oak. I just put a bead of glue on the exposed edge of the plywood and drove some brad nails into both layers of the plywood. This is where I realized I really need to invest in a pin nailer. That would be the ideal, but this did work. I decided I didn't want to use mitered corners, mostly because nothing on this couch is perfectly square, and I knew that this would look fine when I was done. If I tried using miters, there was a chance that it wouldn't line up properly, and I really didn't want to have to go back to the store to buy more material. I recut the front wall of the pocket and cut the rest of the oak pieces I had into these little strips. These will be used to cover up the top edges of the front wall. They just get glued and tacked into place. I started with a 60 grit and sanded everything into plane. I switched over to a 120 grit to give everything a more even finish and sand over all of the imperfections in the remaining pieces. Then it was finally time to install the front wall. I decided to make these side pieces so that there was something for the wall to attach to. They just get glued and nailed into place and the wall gets nailed directly into it. I did end up needing one more piece in the back to nail to, so I grabbed a piece of scrap and I just laid it in back. It worked out really well and I don't think anyone's ever gonna see it back there. Then I could finally go over it once more with a 220 grit paper, and this was the last sanding because now we get to add the shellac.
Hey, what are you doing? Sleeping on a job? Hey. Oh, it's not bedtime yet, silly. Come on. I want you to help me with something. All right.
We made sure there was plenty of ventilation and then got to work.
Here you go. Okay, you see the wood here? We're gonna put some shellac on the wood, okay? Here you go. Nope. On the wood, please. Right on the wood. Go ahead and paint the wood, okay? Oh my gosh, you're making a mess. You mess maker. What are you doing? You're doing so good. Everyone's gonna think you're a professional.
I love the way this project turned out. It would be so easy to adapt something like this to storing things like DVDs or extra controllers or remotes or really anything you want. If you're a maker, I would highly recommend trying this project. It was so much fun, and even if you do mess it up, you can just push it up against the wall and pretend there isn't a giant hole in your couch. So there really isn't any downside to trying. Anyway, thank y'all for watching. Catch y'all next time. Pocket Couch!